All right. Get a little of our soulful music going on here. How's everybody doing this evening? All right. I always like this music. Again, hey, welcome. This is Life's Journey at 50. I'm your host, Matt McCourt. And you can catch me on Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon. And let me run this music right on out of here. So thanks for stopping by. And anyways, I go through the weekends and try to, see what's happening, think about my next podcast, kind of like, what am I going to talk about, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world, and sorry for all the clicking and stuff in the background, but yeah. So I guess that's a thing about having a good mic, right? Is you get all this good stuff going on, but yeah. So I go all the way back to things, looking back over time and trying to make sure that I'm not doubling up on things and boring you guys, the audience out there, any more than I try to do. So, but one thing I really thought about, we've had so much going on in 2020, a lot, right? And there's a lot of different ways, that we could think about 2020. And it happened this past week for me is that I really realized that if there's one word or one thing that all of us could focus on, maybe in 2021 and beyond, is the word respect. And I mean that from probably a lot of different areas. It was, and I guess it hit me hard because it was a Facebook post, and obviously social media, and heck, I just talked about the social dilemma. But I looked at it was a post, and it was about the NFL players, and again about BLM and kind of all that stuff. And I made a comment on there just about that the NFL was okay with that happening, but they were giving a lot of people a lot of hard time around Blue Lives Matter type of thing, and players with their shoes or whatever for that cause. And the person that had a comment for me was well, Blue Lives Matter is not like an ethnicity, that type of thing. And I thought, is it just as equally disrespectful to support one and not being able to support the other? Like, shouldn't we respect everybody's point of view, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent? And again, who's the judge and jury on that? It's you, me, whoever else is out there, right? That's our perception, our thought on it, our, kind of construct, maybe, how we were raised, whatever. But at the end of the day, you can respect a person, a thing, a concept. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. You can form that own opinion on for yourself, or have a civil debate about the issue or whatever it is, or the person. But if we don't respect each other and at least able to have different points of view, then what are we? I mean, really, when you think about it, because you might think I'm nutso because I don't respect the BLM movement. That's fine. my opinions. I've stated them numerous times. And this is not just about BLM. So again, get over it. This is not, I'm just bringing up an example. But, people will think I'm nuts because, well, why aren't I supportive? I am supportive, but what I'm supportive of is respecting life, respecting one another. There are good people, there are bad people, right? A lot of this stuff that's been brought up, if you look at the facts, again, this is where I say facts versus feelings. The facts are a lot of these folks that have been killed by the police, a large, if not 95, 98% or whatever, were doing criminal acts. How do I respect that? Because if you're committing crimes, I don't give a crap if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, but if you're committing crimes that are hurting someone else, then you're not being respectful to the laws. You're not being respectful to people's personal property or their personal self, health, whatever that may be. So where's that person's respect? They're not respecting anything. So that's the one thing that I would say, that it's about respect. If you don't respect one another and you don't respect the laws, you don't respect the construct of our society and kind of what's there. And, there are rules. Unfortunately, some people just want to think that it's a no rule society and they can just go over and do whatever the hell they want to do. Well, they're not respecting the law. And again, it causes a lot of issues, a lot of frustration, everything that goes on. And I just feel that when we get into this, the one thing that we're missing from one another is just, respect. Also some common courtesy stuff and things, but I really wanted to hammer on the respect aspect of it. And it's funny because we sit here and pontificate, even myself, but I think about that word, respecting one another. And, until the Obama years, with the Ferguson stuff, and then obviously, Trump during his time and all this stuff around George Floyd and stuff like that, things have just become so hypersensitive. And we're in this cancel culture arena. I just find that it's almost like everybody's just wanting to shout everybody down. If you don't believe in what they believe in, you're this, you're that, vice versa. We have such a country that's so divided right now, but it's all because we just have a lack of respect for some moral, guidance. We have a lack of respect for our laws. We have lack of respect for each other. Again, I've had numerous, conversations with people that are on the other side of the fence, and you can have those debates. And I think that's what's lost a lot is our ability to talk to one another anymore. Like, we get hypersensitive about a tweet, or we get hypersensitive about a post. Or maybe if you didn't get posted and you're upset because somebody didn't post you when you were there with them, and I just, really, are we that hypersensitive? Respect someone's personal, choices there. And so again, I just find that that's some of the things that I have found, as I glance over Facebook or Instagram and Twitter, especially, our media, again, it's just the lack of respect for the offices that people hold, who a person is. Again, you can disagree with someone without calling them names. You don't have to, it's just like I think it was the congressman that called AOC, I think, a bitch or something like that. And, AOC got all offended. Like, seriously, AOC, you got offended, and you're ripping other people left and right. I mean, come on, that's the proverbial pot calling the kettle black type of thing. And but again, you get both sides lobbing bombs. They resort to name calling, and I just find that it's disrespectful. That again, I could sit down with anybody. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, and I'm still going to treat you decent. I'm not going to try to belittle you. I might try to have a conversation and try to gain your point of view on something, and maybe try to share what my point of view on that would be, or try to give a counter view to that. Again, you might not agree with it. Chances are you won't. Chances are I won't. But we can at least sit down and have a cup of cappuccino and kick back and talk about some of that stuff. And I just, I just find it interesting. I really do. I just find it interesting that that we don't treat each other well anymore. Had a couple situations recently. It's just funny to, I was actually up in Cleveland this past weekend with my buddy Rich, and my mom had moved from Cincinnati back to Cleveland, and saw her for the first time since she had moved away. But my buddy Rich and I, and he's been on the show on some of the dating things, so pretty crazy. But he and I were just talking about the same thing, about just a common lack of respect. I mean, I even see it in the kids nowadays. They don't hold the doors open for anybody. Like whether they're middle-aged or elderly, and, kids just are rude. There's a lack of respect there, to treat your elders with some kindness and to show that respect towards them. There's a lack of respect for our military. Lack of like I said, it's just I can name a bunch of things that it can go on and on. And is that the society that we want? Is it? I mean, we really need to think about that, right? Because it's our jobs, our responsibility to pass on, it's the old adage, right? Treat people the way you want to be treated. And we don't do that. It really comes down to that. And I think we need to get back to that. I mean, parents, it's our responsibility to teach our children that. To teach humility, kindness, respect for our fellow human being. I find that a lot of this, blacks versus whites and Hispanics and whites versus, whatever, and this group versus that group and everything else. I mean, we create our own issues by doing that. We don't treat everybody the same. Everybody has to be treated differently. Whether you're in the LGBTQ, community, you want to be treated different than the, anybody else. Blacks want to be treated different than whites. People think that whites should be treated differently because they've had quote unquote white privilege. Nobody's been able to tell me that concept yet, and has got me to believe that one. That's another thing that I would like to talk about one of these times, because I still don't get that, because I certainly don't have white privilege. Just because I'm white doesn't mean I'm privileged. There's a lot of things that go on. And again, that's why I say we get back to this. We start bucketing people. We start putting people in groups. We start pitting against, these people. And it's our politicians and media. I've said it 1,000 times. If you've listened to any of my podcasts, you'll know I've said this 1,000 times. We just bucket people. Instead of treating us all as individuals, all as people, and respect one another, until that starts happening, you're going to have this. You're going to have these factions. That's why we're so divided against one another. You know, everybody wants to get in their own little groups. And like I said, it's getting worse. It's terrible. I just find that our society is better than this. It should be better than this. We are living in a day and age that you know, we need to come together. It's just and the mask. It's like you talk about the social stuff, right? Look at the mask thing, right? We're going through another surge in COVID-19 and the pandemic and all this, and you know, some people still don't want to wear a mask, and I'm not a big mask believer. Trust me, I've had COVID. It hit me pretty good for about 3-4 days. Lingered for about a week. I've talked about that. I've not had it as bad as others. I get it. I do get it. But I also understand why you need to wear the mask. And I'm not a big proponent of it. I hate it. Hate wearing it. I don't know. For me, I just don't like it. But I'm respectful. I wear it in where I'm supposed to wear it. I wear it, in the stores. I put it on. Might not be happy about it, but I do it. And for people that are just blatantly walking in the stores and doing all this stuff, I mean, there's a reason why you're getting tossed off planes, or the reason why you're getting tossed off of, tossed out of the stores or whatever. It's because it's about being respectful for your fellow human being. And so it's here for a while. I mean, like our company pretty much has just told us that we're not going to be traveling probably pretty much for the first half of the year next year. And a lot of my clients and stuff probably won't be, opening up their doors for a while. So yeah, it's a lot to deal with. But I come back with that one line. It's just about respect. And I think if we take a step back, we go back to a little bit of our roots, especially if you're 40 and older, maybe 35 and older, respect is good. The younger generation, 30 and below or so, you guys really need to figure out all this hostility and anger and this cancel culture, lack of respect for everything type of thing, because it's not doing anybody any good. It's just not. I think it has caused more social unrest than it's helped. Because I don't think we've gone anywhere more forward. I believe we've gone backwards with all this stuff. And that's pretty sad, especially in the environment we're in with technology and everything like that. It's a terrible thing, and we're not taking advantage of it. So anyway, yeah, I really just, this is only a 20-minute segment. I can banter on and on like that, but I would just tell you that we need to do a better job of just teaching our kids, talking to one another, understanding one another, and respecting one another. And, again, you can have a different viewpoint from me, which most likely you will. Just like I'm going to have a different viewpoint. Even people that are similar in thought, you're going to have different opinions on. Because you think it should be done maybe a little bit different than the other person. Same ends that you both want to have, but maybe there's a different paths, right? And, and again, even back to the workplace, it's about respect for one another. Whether you're the boss or you're the employee or whatever, there should be some mutual respect. Should be respect amongst your peers. Respect your spouse, your partner. That's those things are hard. And so that's the big thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, was about just having the respect for one another, respect for your fellow human beings, and respect for the laws, the current situation, and overall, be a little kinder, be a little bit more understanding. We'll all get through this. Nobody's ever going to agree 100%. Ain't going to happen. But if we can find some commonalities and work on those, I think we'd all be in a lot better place. And that's my message of the day: is be respectful, respect one another, love yourself, love everybody else as best as you can. Sometimes it's tough to love others. We all have those challenges. But I think, that's just part of it. So, anyways, I wanted to, throw that out there a little bit and, talk about, just some of my experiences, what I see just in generalities, and hoping that 2021 is just going to be a much better year for all of us. And, I think that's one thing that if we take into 2021 and a little bit of respect, I think it would go a long way in healing our great nation, the world, and even ourselves. And if we just start with ourselves, it can blossom from there. So, all right, everybody. Hey, again, this is Matt McCourt. I'm your host, Life's Journey of 50. And really appreciate you listening. Again, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon. And we're going to take this out of here. I'm going to turn the music up a little bit, and I'll be back soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.